All right, perfect. All right. See, we're getting people on here. Thanks so much to everyone who's joining us this afternoon. Figured with the UConn game that was supposed to be this afternoon getting canceled, why not dive into the team and take a deeper look at them and what we've seen so far this season. So our friends over at BleedBlueBlog have done an awesome job this year. If you've been following them on Twitter, breaking down different plays throughout the season from a variety of the different games we've seen. I think it's some really neat stuff, and I'm excited to take a deeper look. So thanks for joining me today to dive in some more.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, Jared. Really appreciate it. Basically just going to dive into the beginning of Big East play with Book Knight mostly playing and pick and rolls and what the offense looked like. And then slowly as it's progressed with him out. So now with Sanogo kind of being the feature of the offense. So we'll go through a ton of clips, try to answer some questions if we can, and just kind of go from there. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And again, aim to be interactive here. So if you've got questions throughout, feel free to throw them in the chat. We'll try to get to them as we can. Already seen one about the missed layup theme. We've got the clips of those all lined up. We'll probably go to anywhere during any of these clips and be able to see something there.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's a fair question.
To get started looking at some film, which game did you have in mind to kick things off with today?
So we're just going to start right with the Creighton game, the first time we played. So Book's 40-point performance. And we'll go through one set that we'll see has come up often as the season's progressed. And then we'll just go over some of Book Knight's pick and roll success in that game because he was absolutely magnificent. So awesome. I feel like we should, give him the proper credit because we certainly miss him. But
yeah, definitely. All right, so let's get underway. Feel free if you want to pop up the screen share and we'll get started.
All right. Can we see this?
Yeah, it looks good.
All right, so we're going to start off by showing what we call kind of a floppy set. So essentially what that means is you give two guys the option to come off some screens, and it's a popular action we run for Book Night. So we'll just it's going to be 0.75 speed to slow it down. So right now we're in the floppy part where essentially Adams here and Carlton are your screeners, and then Book Knight and Martin are the guys coming off these screens. So if Book Knight comes off of Carlton, that means Martin will go the other way. If Martin comes off of Book Knight and Carlton, that means Book Knight will go the other way. So you're going the opposite direction of each other. And I'm not sure if this is a read or a call, but something we see is rather than go to the wing, Book Knight will flash to the free throw line. And this creates an isolation set, gives him room to operate. So here he reads it, comes right to the free throw line, and now he's got all this space to go one-on-one right in the middle of the court. All right. And he misses a tough jumper. Okay. But this is a popular action we run for Book Knight, and then when he came out or went out, now it's what we see for Tyrese Martin a lot, which we'll get to later. And then we're going to move to the second half. We did an article way earlier in the year about Book Knight's pick and roll success and why NBA scouts love this guy. And so we'll just kind of start with a couple possessions, and this is to open up the second half. And in the first half, he's getting doubled a lot off these ball screens. And here he makes the adjustment early. So these first three clips are going to be of him hitting the roller. So the guy who's setting the screen, and that allows him to then make an adjustment to Creighton's adjustment. So here Whaley's going to end up setting this ball screen, and Book Knight's just going to hit him really quick before the defense can force him to give the ball up. So sees all that space, easy two for Whaley. So Book Knight again hitting the roller early. So we go to the next possession. Here it is again. Carlton's going to come at this screen. Book Knight sees him wide open right there, gives it to him. All right, Carlton ends up getting called for a charge, which is pretty on brand for Josh. And it's a good set by Carlton, just tough position. But still, Book Knight again hitting the roller. And then lastly, here we'll go to this one. So Noga's going to set this ball screen, and this ends up going out of bounds. But this is just an absolute dime by Bouknight here, just splitting the defense right on time, on target. Sanogo just doesn't really have the hands ready to catch, but still just a great pass. So there's Bouknight hitting the roller. I think this is out of our first 4 possessions of the second half, he hits the roller 3 times. And so this is what makes him so good, is now the next time we go into a pick and roll, Creighton, aware that he's passed to the roller these last 3 times, they're not going to hedge as hard. So in a normal situation, Bouknight's going to get it. And now normally we would see this guy, Bishop, pop up right here, like right on Sanogo's hip to discourage Bouknight. But he doesn't, because he's kind of playing the role right now. And so Bouknight is able to just step up, give him enough space, and knock down this 3.
Very cool.
And then one more just for good measure, because this was just absolutely a magnificent performance. So here it is again. Now they hedge well, but they don't force him all the way back, don't force him to give it up, and he's able to turn the corner and finish for that acrobatic layup. So there's just James Bouknight being so good in the pick and roll. It's why scouts love him. And so that's kind of where the offense was designed around, just giving him the ball and letting him make a play.
Yeah, no, this is great stuff here. And I see we've got a question from Stores South coming in about what can Tyler Poly do to get more space now that he's being guarded so closely? And I think we could probably take a look at some of the stuff around Tyler as once we get to the bookless portion of the show here.
Yeah, definitely. I know in the first time we played Butler, there were some sets that Hurley ran for Poly to get him open. And now the issue, and we'll talk about that in a little, but with Poly, he's got to change up how he comes off the screen. So if he's always coming off screens to the 3-point line, that's easy to guard. But if he starts going back door or going in a different direction, now you can keep the defense honest. So it's a bit of a working partnership between him and Hurley, which we'll cover when we get to the Butler game.
Awesome. So we got DePaul up next here.
Yep. So now we're going to go to the DePaul game. And so, anytime you score 40 points in a game, you're going to be on the top of team scouting reports. And anytime, if you're already a player who's supposed to be the team's best player in Bouknight, so you're already on top of the team scouting reports, and then you score 40 points. So then it becomes, hey, let's not let this guy beat us. And so we're just going to take a look at 1 or 2 possessions of how he started to get defended. So you see him coming off this double screen. It's a popular thing we run. It's a popular action we run to get him the ball. All right. And they get 2 guys flying out him, and even Charlie Moore here is here to help. So that's just kind of the attention he's going to get going forward. And so then it becomes, you got to rely on other guys to make plays. And so this was a game where, with Bouknight getting that attention, we needed some offense somewhere else. And kind of a, neat discovery was Tyrese Martin's post play in this game, which is something that I'm not sure anyone really knew. I don't know. He only posted up like 11 times at Rhode Island last year. So here it's end of a shot clock, and Martin's just going to come right here and get right to the block. And we give it to him. And what I love about this end of the shot clock possession is that in the Creighton game, a lot of our end of shot clock possessions that didn't feature Bouknight ended up with just RJ Cole long misses, which people obviously, it wasn't great. And so here we try something different. We go to Martin in the post. All right. Now, I don't know if he makes this, but still a nice move. It's goaltending, so it counts. And so just kind of like okay, that's something to monitor, that we can go to him in the post at the end of possessions. And then if we move forward towards the end of the half, we're going to go to him again in the post. And he's just able to get position very easily, just basically walking down there, gets to a spot, gets doubled here, and fires just a great pass to Adams in the corner for 3. So this is a game, I think Bouknight still ended up with 20 points just because of how skilled he is and able to get to the free throw line. But it's a game where DePaul puts their whole attention onto Bouknight but now it allows for Tyrese Martin to emerge as a secondary scorer or an option, especially out of the post.
And I think what's great is seeing Martin there, just kind of be able to be that guy, especially down in the post, that can bully some guys down there. Because I think that's something we've been missing for a little bit, where you've got that guy down low that can take it there and just bully his way to some baskets.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Hurley had a quote after this game of saying something like, "We're still trying to figure out what this guy is and how he can help us." And so, anytime you get someone who's 6'6", 6'7", listed as a quote unquote guard, who feels comfortable enough going down there in playmaking for each other, for his teammates, for himself, that's obviously an added benefit. And anytime you get a little inside out, it's it's just going to set up success, more opportunities for success.
And again, I think it's important too in that game to call out, even though it is the end of December, what was that, game 5 for them? So still some of those learning pains that come with starting off the season the way it's been.
Absolutely. Just getting used to playing with each other and all that. That cannot be understated. It's a great point.
All right. So next up, we've got Marquette here. So this is the evolution of the hot sauce game.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a great game. I wish we could spend 2 hours just breaking down this game, but we'll keep it light. So we're going to just start off with Book Night. So here he catches it. It's kind of similar to that floppy set we talked about where he catches it at the free throw line. Whaley's going to come up here in fake setting a ball screen, so we call it a slip. So he's going to come up here, not actually make contact, and then dive to the rim. But the point of this video is just watch the attention on Book Night here. So 1, 2, 3, and then here comes John trying to block it. So just four guys paying attention to him. We go a little bit forward, and same thing. And this is just half of the clip, but again, at the end of the shot clock, he was being face guarded that whole possession. Still almost makes that, but that's just how he's guarded. That's how teams are going to face him. It's what DePaul tried to do. Marquette, obviously a little bit more physical, a little bit bigger. They're able to do it more successfully. Here, this is, if you're a defensive-minded coach, like if you're Woj in this situation, you are loving this possession. Just look, all 5 guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, looking at him.
Yep.
And then he tries to make a play, and it's just, there's just nothing there, right? And it's just really good attention to detail. So again, it becomes, where does the offense come from when it's so revolved around Book Night, right? And rightfully so, he scores 40 points, and then now all your actions are going to be for him, and you're going to rely on him to kind of bail you out. So I think that's part of the reason why the first half of this game, where he's completely taken out, it's like, all right, how do we adjust? And our comeback starts because of our commitment to defense, and it's without Book Night on the court. And so we're just going to look at maybe 1, maybe 2 possessions of just our defense turning into offense. So Whaley hedging hard here. This is just great rotation. Adams is going to come out here and close out here. And then they're going to one more it. Whaley gets out there. Cole stopping the baseline drive. They try to kick it to the corner out here. And Whaley ends it, as he's ended many possessions, with a block. And now this isn't the most graceful thing, but here it's turning our defense into offense. We push it up one side of the court, right, quickly, and then Polly gets to his spot, and we're able to hit him for 3. And so we had several of these possessions in the second half where we have really good defense, and then we're able to turn it into offense. And I think there's a bit of a misconception where, when you try to score in transition, it doesn't necessarily mean you want to play fast. It just means if you ever have an advantage situation like the one we have here, where you have a 4-on-3 or a 3-on-2, you want to try to take advantage of it, and you want to score because you have numbers of it. So by UConn's defense being so locked in at periods of times, it can open up these opportunities to score in the break. And we'll actually do one more because it involves Tyler Polley. So here they try to drive it, and Sonogo comes Nice block by Sonogo here. And again, right out of the gate, right, we have a 4-on-3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And Marquette's got 3 guys straight on the play. And so you go till you're stopped unless you can hit ahead to a guy who's wide open. So Poly goes until he's stopped, which is all the way to the rack. And he's able to finish an and one. So again, something we're not really used to seeing Poly putting it on the floor, but, defense turning into offense. And then I just want to break down this set because this is just so good by Hurley. It's a set we've run often, but it's just a counter to it. So this is the first time we've run this game, but we'll kind of walk through it. So
awesome.
We get this wing entry, and now on this pass to Whaley, what's going to happen is Poly at the top of the key is going to go all the way around and set this down screen for Cole. And it's kind of a unique action, but if you've scouted UConn, when you see that action, okay, they're going to be going into this double stagger and they're going to try to run book night off screens. So for Marquette, they've watched film and they can say, hey, this is going to go to book night. They're up 2. They want to get it to their guy, right? So Poly's going to come around, set this down screen into a handoff, and now here comes Adams. He's going to come off of Poly and Whaley. Cole's going to throw it to Adams, and then it's going to be book night's turn to come off Poly and Whaley. So here comes book night. And now, again, if you're Marquette, you would assume the ball's going to book night, the best player on their team. But the counter here is that book night, rather than coming all the way around, is just going to come right off of Poly and screen Poly's guy. And now this is going to get someone who's been red hot in the second half a wide open look, which is obviously a really hard thing to do. So Book's going to come off it and just curl it, set that screen, and you get him just a wide open look, which he drains, puts us up 5, and just incredible execution, incredible timing of the set. It's something that UConn and Hurley is built off of since last year. So I just wanted to highlight that because that's just the evolution of Hurley's offense.
I'm curious, while we're on this game, just to ask a general question here in terms of the change in the game from the first half to the second half. Was there anything you noticed here in how Marquette changed things up defensively when it seemed as if Book might be out there more as a decoy than anything else?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think most, the comeback started with Book night out. And I think when that happens is I think it said more about UConn in terms of just the offensive flow and just not being reliant on giving it to just one guy and running the offense through one guy. It allowed for other guys to take opportunities and take advantage of this opportunity. For Marquette, there wasn't, to be honest, there wasn't that much change. I think for UConn, it was just they really locked up defensively. I think Marquette didn't get the shots they wanted on offense more than anything. And then that led to UConn being able to get out and run in those transition opportunities and succeed in those advantage opportunities.
Awesome. So I think we go for Marquette, and who do we have next here? Is it Butler next?
Yep. So it's Butler. Not much from this game. This is the first game without Book night. It's just kind of a sound performance, similarly to the last time we played, or the more recently time we played them. Just we'll kind of highlight one defense to offense possession, and then Martin in the post, and then kind of like a preview set to what's coming. But here we get a stop early, and this is the first possession of the game. We're immediately on a 5-on-4 because Golden's here on the ground. And so, again, want to take advantage of it. I would imagine pregame Hurley may have, again, I have no idea, but he may have highlighted, hey, let's try to take advantage of these advantage opportunities, especially without Book night, where half-court offense might be a little bit, tougher to come by. So Cole goes till he's stopped, gives it to Martin. Martin goes till he's stopped. Whaley, who rim ran right all the way down to the floor, gets behind the defense and scores. So clearly an early commitment to doing this and a successful commitment. And so then we move on a little bit later in the first half. Okay. This is, again, this is just a set to get to get Martin the ball on the post. He's able to easily just get down here, post up. And this is against Enzi, who's a pretty good defender, and just nice spin move. Just doesn't finish, which has been a bit of a common theme for Martin and for all of UConn, but ends in a cook dunk, so we'll take it. But, there again, it's just giving the ball to Martin in the post, showing his ability to do that. So, other than that, for the Butler game, there wasn't that much. It was just a solid performance. But I do want to show our opening set of the second half, which is it's a high-low look that has now been a central part of our offense for the last 3 games, I would say. So Polly's going to set this ball screen and roll. And I believe Adams – oh, wrong way. All right, sorry about that. Here we go. So Adams hits Martin to Cole, and now Sonogo is going to come and set this ball screen for Cole. When Sonogo rolls to the hoop, you're going to see Whaley flash to around the free throw line area. So Sonogo rolls, here comes Whaley, and it's immediate high-low look. So now Whaley has 3 options. So it's, first of all, is to shoot it. Okay, the second one is to dump it down to Sonogo. And the third, which we eventually get to in the Creighton game, I believe, is to throw it to Adams and go set a ball screen. And so this is why Whaley needs to just shoot these jumpers even when he's behind the arc, because even if he just hits 1 or 2, just to keep the defense honest, right? It's something we need, especially with the emergence of Sonogo. So we look for the high-low, not there. Martin gives it right back to Whaley, and then we get it into him, and he gets an and 1. So this is, again, out of the half. It's a high-low look, so it's drawn up in the huddle before, and it's something that then emerges in the games to come.
And it seems like here you start to really see the season start to take off a bit for Adama Sonogo and him starting to assert himself a bit more.
Definitely. I think, as the season progresses, and who knows what's going on in practice as well, where Hurley and the staff kind of realize, hey, we have somebody special here, that we may want to build the offense around, especially with Book Night out, especially when it's a post presence like Sonogo. So we have the DePaul game. I'm just going to show one set and then we'll move on, because the DePaul game was just like a win and get out of there, 3-game win streak.
Exactly.
But again, this is going to be Tyrese Martin featured. So again, this is our floppy set. It's that set we highlighted right away in the Creighton game for Book Night. And so now it's Martin has the option to come off Whaley, or he can come off Adams and Polly, and whichever way he doesn't go, that's the way Adams goes. So Adams goes first, Polly gets to the free throw line, meaning what? Meaning now a set we've run for Book Night in isolation, now we're running for Martin. And so we just leave kind of the floor open for him. Again, down 2, 6:15 left, so get it to someone who can make a play, clear out, and he ends up getting fouled. And then I don't know what we do after that, but just something to monitor that Martin has, not that he's replacing Book Night, but we're starting to see us put him in those Book Night situations.
Interesting to see the evolution of that from the early games to where it is right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of like Hurley said, we don't really know what we've got with him, but when he's engaged and when he's got the ball in his hands, when he's playing good defense, you can just see he's a little bit more consistent.
Mm-hmm.
So now we'll try to breeze through this one, just because this is it's a loss, and it's a tough loss, and it still stings, but it's also where we really see Sonogo, to your point, Jared, we see Sonogo take off here. So we run this horns rip set, which rip meaning like block to block screen. So
okay.
So we'll kind of break this down. So all right, so this is what we call horns. So we got Cole at the ball at the top of the key. it's going to be Martin in this corner, and I believe that was Adams. He's going to be in this left corner, and then you have Whaley at one elbow, Sonogo at the other elbow. So it's a popular action in college basketball. You can run all sorts of things off of it. So we give it to Sonogo. He's going to come for a handoff with Martin. And now watch Cole as Sonogo's going to hand off with Martin. Cole's going to go right into the lane, get ready to set a screen. So you see Cole come down here. Martin's going to come off this ball screen from Whaley. And we set this guard to big or a rip screen. Cole's just going to screen Sonogo's man. Martin's going to throw a one more to Adams. And now we're able to get the ball to Sonogo on the block where we've seen him be very good.
Yeah.
So again, and we'll just do one more. So here it is again. He's going to go handoff. Watch Cole. There's the one more. Cole setting that screen. Get it to Sonogo right on the block. And this is just really good footwork. Keeping it high right there. And a nice finish. So this is our horns rip set. Okay, again, Sonogo establishing himself in the post. All right, and then we also start to do a little bit more of that high-low. And so here it is out of a secondary look. All right, so our initial fast break isn't there. So now we go into kind of our secondary. So a transition ball screen by Sonogo. He's going to dive, Whaley to the top, high-low. He's just got to finish it.
Yeah.
So, but there again, we see, and there's plenty of more high-low. We won't go through them all for the sake of time. And there's a couple more of those horns rip sets. But again, there we see Sonogo. As the game went on, we kind of went to him more and more. And then at the end of the day, our defense just couldn't get enough stops, but ended up being a tough L. But again, the emergence of the freshman Sonogo.
And I've got a question here that maybe you could bring a little bit of clarity to. And I know it's something I see raised on Twitter a lot during games, and that's the bigs handling the ball up around, the top of the key there. You're seeing Josh up there. You're seeing Isaiah Whaley. Talk a little bit about, the design of that for this team.
Yeah, so sometimes, if you give the ball to a big at the top of the key and he's going to end up setting like a ball screen or do a handoff or receive a screen or whatever, you're putting immense pressure on the opposing team's big man. So that's one school of thought, is that you're bringing a 6'10", 6'11" guy away from the rim. So now that opens up driving lanes for your guards. Okay. And then you're putting him in maybe a handoff, or he's got to defend a down screen, a handoff, and then the roll. So he's got to defend 3 actions in a matter of 5 seconds. And sometimes for big men, especially at the college level, that can be really difficult to defend. So that's one school of thought. Another school of thought is that it's as simple as just that cues your action. So maybe, if it's Poly, we want Poly to come off a double screen. Well, when we throw it, say Cole throws it to Sonogo, and Sonogo just simply throws it back to Cole, now that triggers Poly to come set or come off the double screen.
That makes sense.
Okay. And then lastly, and this is something we'll get into with the Creighton game, and then similar, we just saw it with the St. John's game. A lot of times it's to just get, similar to my first point, but it's to get the big man away from the hoop. So now he catches it, but then he's going to receive an action. So whether it's a down screen or on a roll, to then get him the ball on the block. So it may even just be false action to keep the defense honest, keep the defense moving before eventually getting it to him on the block. So, and where it's really successful is when you have very good passing big men. So, for UConn, their best passing big man is Whaley. And so that's why we see him at the top of the key, because he can throw those high-low looks. And if UConn could ever get to a point where you have like 2 bigs who can both pass it, then it becomes really difficult to guard. Like when a Cook, a Cook is, whenever he's healthy, he will thrive in this continuity ball screen offense because he can hit the 3 from the top of the key. We'll see about his passing, but he can finish down low as well. So those are just kind of the schools of thought behind a big man catching it far away from the hoop. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, no, that was great. Thanks. Yeah, no, I think giving some good insight into something I'm seeing a lot of conversation around.
Wonderful. So we'll go to the Creighton game. And so we'll just start with this is a very early set. And this is just clearly us recognizing that, hey, let's get Sonogo the ball early. And it's something Hurley's done in the past, is trying to get our big men the ball early in games. It's something he tried to do with Carleton a lot the last 2 years. Sometimes it went well, other times it didn't. But this is pretty simple. So it's going to be kind of the same as our floppy set where we saw Martin catch it at the free throw line, except this time he and Adams are both going to go to the wings. So here comes Adams. So Martin goes the other way. And now on this wing entry, we see Whaley come set this block-to-block screen and just try to get the ball to Sonogo below the defense. Creighton's ready for it. Okay, very well prepared. They're able to fight through it. We don't get anything from it. Again, looking for a high-low look there. But just to my point, trying to get the ball to him early. There he is, ends up traveling. But commitment to get the ball to Sonogo early in the game. So now this is what our offense has now progressed to. And we saw it in the Butler game when we were able to keep two bigs on the floor. So this is, we call it a ball screen continuity set because it's continuous. So Sonogo's going to come and set this ball screen. As he rolls to the hoop, like we saw in the St. John's game, Whaley's going to pop to the top of the key. So ball screen, here comes Whaley, catch. And now we see we have two guys on this side, Martin and Adams. And so there's several things this kind of tandem of two can do. And popular actions are whoever's the top guy will go back door, will go all the way through, or the top guy might come set a down screen for the bottom guy. Or in this situation, it's the bottom guy, Martin, setting this, we call it a flare screen for Adams. So Whaley gets it though. First look is the high-low. Doesn't feel comfortable giving it to him, gives it to Adams. Now he comes, sets the ball screen. When Whaley rolls, now it's going to be Sonogo popping to the top. Now here comes Cole backdoor. Ball screen, Whaley comes up top. Adams backdoor. Whaley ball screen. Sonogo comes up top, and we end up settling for an Adams three. And obviously it's not, the best possession. Creighton defends it pretty well, but that's kind of what the offense looks like when you get it to the second or third side of the floor. And so the idea behind this offense is, I know I had a bit of a conversation between Mr. Hot Balls and Store South after this Creighton game about playing through Sonogo, and they made, points of, it's something we want to do. And I agree. And as he gets better as being a playmaker out of the post, yes, but it's also we've tailored the offense around him. So while we may not necessarily play through him, we're putting him in positions to succeed, and then while also giving our guards chance to get downhill in these pick and rolls. So here's where we eventually wanted to get it to look like is Whaley's going to pass at this ball screen. Sonogo's going to pop. All right, we get a little late here. All right, trying to look for the high-low. A little late on this side. Eventually Martin goes through. But this is what you want to get to, where he's got all this space to operate.
Yep.
And even if this is Whaley or even Carleton, okay, but there's Sonogo, he gets it right there, ends up traveling, okay, but that's eventually where you want the offense to get to. And then we do it I think we run the continuity set a total of 6 times this game. We won't go through all of them. We'll move on to the Butler game, but that's, it's just an interesting committed effort. We saw the evolution between the St. John's game, starting with the high-low, then to the Creighton game with the ball screens, getting it to each side of the floor. And now we have this Butler game, which will be the last game we'll go over. Any questions? Are we good?
I think we're good now heading into Butler. Again, for everyone who's watching, if you got questions about anything, feel free to prop them in the chat, and we'll try to get to them.
All right, wonderful. So here it is again, continuity. So Sonogo's going to roll. Whaley's going to pop to the top. Cole goes through. Here comes Martin. Sonogo a little late, but eventually rolls to the top. Cole goes through. Here comes Adams. And again, well defended, but I like that we get the ball to each side, and that way we're able to run it through multiple times. Those early, it's a tough offense to run. Gonzaga runs it a lot, and they have great passing big men. It's something that's been a staple of Mark Few's offense. And so if you're UConn, you're slowly putting it in, and you just want to, it's going to take time, it's going to take commitment, but you want to be able to play on both sides of the court, and that way then you could eventually get into your counters and whatnot. And so, so that's, again, our continuity, our ball screen set. And what is interesting to monitor here is we call that action when Sonogo's rolling and Whaley's replacing him to the top. We call it a roll and replace. So the guy who's rolling rolls to the hoop, and the guy who's on the bottom replaces him at the top. And it can be very tough to guard. And so I'm sitting here thinking it'd be great to put more of a playmaker in that replace position especially if Whaley's not going to shoot a three. So here, it's not our ball screen continuity, but still it's a dribble weave into a ball screen. So dribble weave, Gaffney to Polly. Polly's going to come throw it to Adams. And now Carlton's going to come set a ball screen. So as Carlton rolls, it's going to be Tyrese Martin replacing to the top of the key. So especially without two bigs on the floor, we're able to do this. Gives it to Martin. And now you have an immediate playmaker at the top of the key where he can either shoot it, drive it to the hoop, or if he's able to, dish it down low. So here, just kind of hand down, man down, and drills it.
Yep.
And then again, if we go to the second half, bear with me. Here we go. So again, just kind of a dribble weave. So Cole just gave it to Gaffney. Here we go. So Gaffney to Polly, Polly back to Cole. Here comes Whaley setting it. And now this is why we do this, because watch how wide open Martin's going to be. Just chilling at the top of the key, right? Because they have to protect the roll, but they're also trying to hedge on the ball screen. And so now this leaves the guy who's replacing. I think this is number 2. He's got to stay home on Whaley, or else we're going to let up a wide open layup. But now it leaves Martin wide open. So unfortunately, we don't get it to him. We try for the lob, which is something we're not great at, but we end up still getting it, get the one more to Martin, who eventually hits it. So this is what I'm intrigued by when moving forward is, when we have two bigs in the lineup. So if it's Whaley and Sonogo or Carlton and Whaley, we can run that continuity high-low ball screen. But then when we want to go with, more of a smaller lineup, whether it's Polly at the 4 or Martin even at the 4, whatever it may be, now you can get in these situations where you have roll and replace. Okay, you're opening up driving lanes for your guards. You're opening up rolls for your bigs, especially for Sonogo, getting the ball to him, and then everyone else on the perimeter just ready to make a play.
How do you see things changing, or what would you say has been the biggest change to this since Book Night's gone down? And then talk about reincorporating Book Night into some of the changes that you've seen the past few games.
Yeah, so with Book Night going out, I think there was, beating Marquette and beating Butler, and then having that 3-game win streak was immense just for confidence levels and just proving that we can play. And Hurley even had the quote saying, I had to remind these guys, hey, like, we won 3 games in a row. So, at first you're running your normal stuff. So all these double staggers, you're running it for Polly instead of Book Night now, or you're running these, horn sets where you're usually running it for Book Night. Now you're running it for Cole, and you're putting these guys who didn't expect to be in these positions. Now you're putting them in these positions. And so I think there's a bit of a learning curve with that, where guys who expect to be the 2nd, 3rd, 4th guy in the scouting report, now you're the top guy in the scouting report. Like for Tyler Polly, he played his way into being at the top of team scouting reports. And now he can, as to Store South questions, he needs to change up how he comes off screens and just be a little more active off the ball, because teams know, hey, he's a knockdown shooter. And then with Book Night coming back in to the lineup, I think it should be it's not going to be a seamless transition, but
Right.
I think the offense, the fact that it is ball screen oriented now, where it's much more spaced out and much more free flowing. Now you put Bouknight, who's great in pick and rolls, as we saw in that Creighton game. Now you put him in an offense that involves all these pick and rolls, right? So now he's the one coming downhill and making a play, or he's the one who's in the corner waiting for the pass, or he's the one setting up the big men rolling to the hoop. So I think it might be a game or two where it's a little touch and go. They got to figure out how to play with each other again.
Yep.
But once he gets comfortable out there, I would expect him to fit quite nicely into the offense.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate the time today breaking things down for us. I think this is a great look, really, at how UConn's been running things this season and what to look for going forward. I think there's going to be a lot of plays now that the people will be able to call out as they see them happening on the TV. So really appreciate the time coming on today. And if you would just want to give a shout out where everyone can follow you throughout the season to make sure they're staying on top of things.
Yeah, so at BleedBlueBlog, a bit of a tongue twister, but you can find us on Twitter at BleedBlueBlog. We've also been putting out kind of like preview pods, either the day or morning before a game, and then the morning after we do a reaction pod. So you can find us at Spotify, again, BleedBlueBlog, but we'll put all our content on Twitter, and you can find us there. Obviously, if you ever have any questions, just give us a shout, and we'd be happy to answer them. Keep
Awesome.
having this dialogue. So thanks a lot for having me on, Jared. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Absolutely. Anytime. Thanks so much for everyone who joined us today. Appreciate the time, and hopefully we'll be getting back to some pre and post game shows in the near future here. Looks like next Saturday, fingers crossed, knock on all the wood. So again, thanks everyone for joining us today. Appreciate the time.